Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of An Old Man with a Cellular Telephone. This is video 100, the second video 100. The first one I removed because it had very poor audio quality. So in this video I'm going to show some of the updates I've made to my off-grid solar ham shack, and I'm going to show one of my radios and kind of talk about what I'll be up to with that this summer. But first, the solar. Here we have my EP-Ever 100 amp hour charge controller. This thing has been absolutely amazing. It is very electrically quiet for those who do radio. While I've been playing with this so far, the maximum amount of power I've gotten coming through was 1156 watts. And these wires are a bit thin. They started to warm up, nothing to worry about. But they do warm up a little, so I am going to increase these as time goes on. I've also added this really small fan in here, and I gave it its own on-off switch, and that just blows air across the heat sink of the charge controller just to help with cooling. I've moved this 2500 watt power converter. It used to be much closer. It was over here, and the back vents were facing the charge controller, so when it kicked in, it was warming my charge controller more. I didn't like that, so I've moved it over, aimed it away, and I thickened up the cables, because the wires it did come with, they'd really warm up when I cranked this thing out, and the plastic coating was starting to melt. You can see the difference in wire diameter. So, I'm going considerably thicker than what these are, and again, their coatings were starting to melt off a little and get misshapen, so I decided I'll use those for something else. And because I had these extra cables, I'll put these in. I will say, for a very inexpensive power inverter, this has a very clean sine wave. All of my sensitive electronics really like it. As well as it has 5,000 watt surge. I recently, in testing, ran this right up to 2,950 watts and held it for 8 minutes, and it performed like a champ. Although it is not electrically friendly when it comes to radio, it causes a lot of interference, but it does perform, and it is a clean power wave, so it'll be good to go for years to come, I'm sure. This is not meant to take the whole house off grid in a major power outage. This is just meant for powering my fridge and freezers, and maybe allowing the family to watch a movie on the TV and DVD player at night. Or if we repower our internet connection and that's still running, we can probably watch movies and that during, a week or two long power outage. And talking about power outages, apparently hurricane season is upon us. The news is not giving it very much attention, but the state of Mississippi had a powerful tornado touch down and rip a 50-mile stretch of absolute disaster. There's a lot of power outages and that sort of thing, and that's sort of the purpose behind this particular hobby. I'm still using 8 320 amp hour 12 volt LiFePO 4 batteries. These have been just great. My solar system is powerful enough where I have to use unintended and unnecessary draws to take power from the battery, because part of what I'm examining is how much power in a day can those three solar panels give. And so I've done 720 watts so far today and 87 kilowatts for the month. So I think that's probably more than I use, considering that, you know, the date is only the 23rd, so there's another week left in this month. And I'm averaging between 3 and 5 kilowatts a day. On a good day, I get up a little over 5 kilowatts. In this month, we've had really bad weather, very cloudy skies. It snowed, and I didn't even bother to clear off the panels. I just left it. So, you know, it's going to put out a lot more in a month. When weather improves and we start to see consistent sunshiny days. I'll actually have a hard time maintaining a low enough amperage in the battery to maximize the solar input and get a look at what that looks like. So there it is on the solar front. That all of this solar is literally here just to run these two radios. And, of course, back up my freezer. And I've done videos on these, so I won't get too much into it. But I will say the filtering in this radio on HF is so amazing. Despite all of the interference I get from that power inverter, I'm actually able to more or less filter it all out and still have a good conversation. And the other half of Video 100 is going to be my my Radio Go kit for taking to parks and to the beach, going camping with. I'm going to try and fit it all into this one bag. But let's go through what I have. So definitely I have the bag. In there I'm going to put this bag, which is just a bunch of universal parts and ends to help me connect different coaxes. I'm going to be using this, which is a VNA Nano vector network analyzer. This is for achieving a good SWR on my antenna. Then I have a length of really skinny coax with some B and C connectors. I have this set up to plug directly into the 705, and this is a high gain antenna. I'll try and get it out here and show you. What we have is this part here is an aluminium flat strap, 1 inch, just bent to an L shape, and that allows me to dismount the handheld antenna and maintain a good positive SWR. So it more or less acts like the second leg of a dipole, and that has to be measured and cut to a proper length to tune. In building this, I learned I could change the resonance of the antenna simply by changing the length of shaft, and I could influence it a couple of kilohertz. On top, we have, I can't even remember anymore, I've had this thing so long. I believe this is the TC79 gooseneck antenna. It's for 2 meter and 40 centimeter. Or 2 meter and 70 centimeters, sorry. And it's a blade whip. So this is very broad banded, and it also gives you around 6 dB worth of gain. So for portable work off a handheld or off of a lower watt radio, this works really well. This back strap will fit nicely in the molly, and you can thread it through, so you have a great spot to hang it on the exterior of the bag while you're hiking into your park or hiking into your campsite or whatever it is you're doing. So that's the way I'm going to go there. And then I've got these other connectors that, you know, will just be helpful. Now for the main antenna, I'm going to use this 17-foot whip by Chameleon Antennas, and I'm going to use this 80-meter coil by Wolf Rivers Coils. The reason I will use this setup with ground plane and on a jaw clamp is because the Chameleon MPass 2.0 antenna, through its bell and its conversion anon, you lose 2 dB of signal strength, both send and receive. Now its benefit is you don't have to tune it. It just does its thing. You set it up even in bad weather. You can set it up really fast and get on the air and go band hopping, which I'm very promiscuous on the bands, I must say. But with this antenna, every time I want to change bands or even go from a lower end of the band to the higher end of the band, I'm going to have to come out and I'm going to have to readjust it and tune it up a little. And that's fine because I don't intend to be using this in heavy rain and wind and cold winter days. Another thing I'll throw into the video, a lot of viewers were asking what book I used for the illustrations in my HF propagation video. And that's this here, U.S. Special Forces Antenna Handbook. Personally, the reason I didn't mention it is I think the whole U.S. Special Forces portion of this is a bit gimmicky. But the Antenna Handbook portion is definitely valuable information. It is accurate and correct, so that's what I bought the book for, was to examine different antenna options. I will say this book, you can see on this page how the text gets pretty light, and it almost looks like they were running out of ink. There are sometimes the text is so light, like here, it's just hard to read altogether. But aside from that, this book is definitely filled with a lot of really good information for those people seeking to use HF radio. It's not as needed for UHF and VHF. Those are very simple plug-and-play radios, but with HF, that's where you separate the men from the boys. You know, you use a UHF or VHF radio, you operate or drive an HF radio. And that's where that is. But this is the book I used to make that video, for those of you who want to pick up a copy of your own. And now I want to talk about this little radio here. This is the radio I'm going to take on my adventure kit, the ICOM IC705. The reason I purchased this radio over other options is it's a very popular radio, it's well built, and it has a lot of features it can do. I'm not an ICOM user. This is my first one, so I've had a lot of trials and tribulations getting it set up. I have yet to get the D-Star working. I recently understood through my viewership that I need to register my call sign with D-Star. So I think I got that done. The web page I had to use was set up for a computer, and I only access the net through this phone. So I'm really not sure. I believe it said I was registered, but I still haven't had any luck getting D-Star working. So, you know, the fight continues. But I'm still going to be taking and using this radio. I've chosen to give it this WinCamp cage. Little protective cage just to give it, give me a second try when something bad happens, I guess. It's a well-built cage. I believe it's made from aluminium. It's very strong. It fits the radio well. I have no doubt I will be well protected It's bolts in on the bottom. It has a stand, which is quite helpful. And it comes with antenna protection. And this is my one gripe about this cage so far, is that I have to use this particular connection, and that's not the one I wanted to use, and it's not how I wanted this to be. If I can get this box open one-handed. This is the one I wanted, the breakout that I would rather use, and it's made by Winkamp as well. But when you put it in the cage, this area here prevents you from connecting. There's no way this is going to. And I think if Winkamp gets the mind to, what they should do is redesign this lower leg to make it protrude out a little, which would allow this to slip in for the users that want to use this method of breakout as opposed to this particular one. Aside from that, this has been a great little cage. It's going to be helpful when I just quickly set my radio into my bag to go home or to go out. It'll definitely keep it protected. To power the radio in the field, it has its own battery, which I do not intend to use a whole lot. I'm going to leave these leads on it here, and I'll power it with a 12-volt LifePo4 30-amp-hour battery. And for camping trips and things like that, I'll use 2 batteries, and I'll bring a 40-amp-hour charge controller or a 20-amp-hour charge controller and a few hundred watts of solar. I've got folding solar panels I've done a earlier video on, so I won't bore you too much with that. The next thing about this radio is it can do wired or wireless connection to a laptop or tablet for using FT8 and other digital modes such as RTTY. The problem I have there is that I'm very technologically challenged when it comes to computers. We are not friends at all, and that's not my fault. Or maybe it is. But you can see here how the laptop, I was trying real hard to get my digital going on both my FT710 and my ICOM 705, and the laptop didn't want to play nice with me, so it's on a timeout, and it might stay there for weeks or even months. I'm actually taking it to a friend's house who knows how to use computers a little bit later today, and he's going to clean a bunch of the trouble out of it and see if he can't make it work a little better for me, because I very rarely use these things. I don't sit in front of one for an occupation. I've only had a couple of short years of my life where I did use one day to day during an occupation. And I tell you, IT was on speakerphone most of the day. But that's pretty much all I have to share. Just that it is hurricane season, or rather tornado season. And I'm getting all geared up to operate this radio in the field, going to all kinds of different parks, lakes, and locations. Aside from that, I've already burnt 20 minutes of your day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do leave comments in the comment section. I enjoy reading them, and I do get back to them. I'm just a small channel, so I have time to respond to the few comments I get. And it helps boost my videos, apparently, from what I understand. I don't know. This is just a hobby I started for no reason. At any rate, have a great day.